Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Game Development Log video diary, and this week I've been making some good progress on the world editor. So let's start from where we left off last week, and that is with editing entities in the world. You can now right click on any entity to move it around, and when you left click on an entity there are now a load of possible options. You can now very easily delete, rotate, scale and change the texture of any entity now, and if you remember in devlog 26 where I talked about some textures having customizable colours, I also added in support for that, as you can see here. So that's the entity options pretty much finished, and so I moved on to the terrain options this week. You can now select terrain tiles by clicking on them, and as you can see it brings up a load of settings over here on the right. For example, you can add music to the area, change the fog settings for that terrain, add water at a certain height, and also change the weather for that terrain tile. So if I change this to snow, whenever you go into that terrain area, you can see that it begins to snow. I also made it possible to select multiple terrain tiles at a time, which is done by holding down Shift and clicking on the terrains. On the right you can see that the settings panel is slightly different now, and it gives the option of synchronizing the settings for this group of terrains. So by clicking sync water, it sets the water settings of all of these terrain tiles to be the same, which at the moment is no water. But if we now add some water, it adds the water to all of the terrains at the same time. And the same thing works with all the other settings as well. Another feature that I added for terrains this week are these show area buttons up at the top here. Clicking on this button here, for example, shows what music is playing in all the terrain tiles by colour coding them, and there's a key over here on the right to show which colours correspond to which music track. And you can do the same for water to show which terrains have water, and for weather to show what the weather settings are like for each area. I also added this select option next to each setting, and clicking this allows you to select all of the terrains in that group. So if I select all of the terrain tiles with snowy weather and I set them all to rain, then I can click the show weather areas button again, and you can see that there are no terrain tiles with snow anymore. So next week I'm going to be doing some work on the game itself to set up a system that loads and unloads chunks in the world when necessary, which will allow my game to be able to support the large world that I'm hoping it'll eventually have. So because of that there probably won't be a devlog video next week, because there won't really be anything to show you, but there will definitely still be one the week after. After that I'll be coming back to the world editor to add the terrain modelling and texturing options, which will be pretty cool, and then I'll be finally releasing the dev kit. So don't forget, if you want to help out with creating content for the game, whether it be music, models, textures, icons, or just using the world editor to create areas in the world, then do let me know what you'd like to help out with by sending me an email. If you want to see what I'm working on during the week, then do follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and IndieDB. Links are in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.